I hope you guys are doing good. Talk always this time of year. First off, just want to say thanks to Preston Smith. 2019, that was we signed 4 guys, and you never really know how that was going to shake out. And for him to be, here still 5.5 years later and produce like he's produced, and he's done a lot of good things for us. I'm really appreciative. Played a lot of good football for us, won a lot of games, and wish him nothing but the best moving forward.
Mosby those snaps in that 4-man rotation, and do you think him or Cox have proven enough that they can handle that role?
Yeah, we're excited to see both those guys, see some more snaps. I think certainly they've earned it. I thought they did a really nice job in training camp, and they've continued that through practice. And I think, Mosby's done a really nice job on teams for us, and Britton's just really, I think he's eager, and we're eager to see him.
Are there other ways you think Jeff can get a pass rush? I mean, his blitz rate is really low. What do you think you guys can do just to, I know you're not in the coaching realm, but just from your vantage point, what do you think you can do just to get a little bit more?
Yeah, I think they've done a nice job so far, and I think, those guys got to continue to kind of work within the scheme and what we're doing. And this is the first year in this defense, so there's always some kinks to work out. And so I expect a lot of those guys in the second half of the season. I think they'll continue to improve, and I think this allowing these 2 guys to get on the field a little bit, maybe some snaps to go to some other guys too, I think will help us.
It's obviously a young man's game, but it was already a really young locker room. Preston was one of your few really experienced guys. Is that a concern of yours, just finding the experience to kind of guide you guys where you want to go?
Yeah, I think, obviously having Preston in the locker room, he's always been a really good leader for us. And whenever you lose that, but that just usually creates room for other guys to step into that void. So I think we have a lot of guys that are capable of doing that. And so, again, I think, we want to grow together. And I think the group that we got in our front is doing that right now. And I'm excited to see what they do in the second half.
You've got an open roster spot now. Do you have that figured out what you're going to do with it, or is that a play-it-by-ear kind of thing?
Yeah, we'll play by ear. I think we got Marshawn Lloyd's coming off of IR here pretty soon, hopefully, and so that could factor into that as well. So, like always, week to week, there'll be some roster management going on, but not anything right now. Obviously, we have really until Saturday, next Saturday, to make any moves.
Have you been surprised that it's taken a while for the defensive line to adjust to this 4-3?
Not really. I mean, I think there's always an adjustment period, but I think they've done some really good things. I think they've yet to have that real breakout game, but I think that's coming. I like the way they're working. I think they're doing the right things, and I think it's just a matter of time before they get there.
You always want to be in all the conversations. You talked about that a bunch. How many conversations were there, and how aggressive were you about adding to your roster as opposed to?
Yeah, I think these things start 4, 5, 6 weeks before now, and so as we went through it, it was I kind of assumed it was going to be very quiet, and it very much was this year. I think those initial conversations. And they can change, but as we monitored going through it, I think it was kind of pretty steady that it was going to be a quiet, that acquiring any significant players was going to be, there wasn't going to be a lot of opportunity to do that.
Why was it? Why just not as many sellers, or just what was?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. It's not a store you can go in and just pick and choose. Those guys got to be available, and there just wasn't a ton available this year. So we always look at a lot of things, have some conversations, talk to people, but not a lot materialized this year.
So, Goody, I want to try and help fans understand. Like last year, you're 3-6, and you trade Rasul, but you're probably not thinking at that moment, hey, we've got a team that could be winning the Super Bowl. Now you feel like you have a championship team, and even if Preston's snaps weren't going to be as many, there's probably still value to him. So when you have your team in the position it is there a risk of moving on from an older player, or is it, again, the young man's game conversation?
Yeah, I think, it's no different than last year. I think there were some players we wanted to see. I think that, the trend of how the snaps were going was only going to continue that way. So, I think it wasn't something that we set out to do. It wasn't something that we called a bunch of teams saying, hey, are you interested in Preston Smith? Because we know his value. But when the opportunity came and we got the phone call, we just thought it made sense for us for what we're trying to do. And again, I think he's going to a very good situation with a playoff caliber team and a really good organization. So that always, from my end of it, does help a little bit, especially with a guy who's given to us what Preston has given to us.
What's your level of confidence with your cornerback group? Is it, I mean, if the goal is to win a Super Bowl, are you good enough with Keyshawn in the perimeter and Bullard in the slot? Those Jaguars, is that a good enough group, you think?
Yeah, those guys have done a great job this year. I mean, I think Bull's been, for rookie, he's just done an excellent job when he's been put in the nickel. The ability for him to play safety and nickel and what's put on that guy for a young player to do what he's done has been it's really exciting. What he's done already and where he's about to go. So that's been good for us. Again, Keyshawn hasn't played a ton of outside corner for us, and he was kind of put in that position. I think he's done a really good job for us. He's got excellent instincts. He can take the ball away. So yeah, I've been really happy with him out there as well.
Brian, what do you think of just the early return on investment you've gotten with McKinney and Jacobs? Obviously, high expectations coming in, but just the way they performed here in this first half for you.
Yeah, not unexpected. Again, I mean, those guys are proven players. Those guys were proven players in the league. Again, coming into a new environment, sometimes that can take some time. Credit to those guys for being able to contribute like they have so quickly. I think for me, not only the production that they put out there for us, but just also how they fit into the locker room as leaders. I think that they've really helped continue to strengthen our culture.
What you've seen from Cooper so far this season, how much does kind of reflect what you saw in the pre-draft process, and has he kind of surprised you in any way with what he's?
Yeah, obviously he had a little bit of a setback there in training camp, which always for a young player is tough when you miss that much time on the field. But just like he was in college, when you put him on the field, he makes dynamic plays. And again, he's still working through some of the details and intricacies of our defense. And but when he's out there, you feel him, and he certainly brings an element of speed on that field, and he's a natural playmaker. So again, excited for him where he can go. I think there's a lot of really good football ahead of him.
It's not unexpected for Xavier McKinney, but still 6 picks in 9 games, and it's already a career high for him. What do you see in him that showed that he could be that kind of a ball hawk?
Yeah, well, I think it always starts with our process in college and watching him through that time. And certainly we were very fond of him during that period of time. And then just watching him when he was in New York, we played them last year, had a chance to really kind of see him up close and how he prepared in pregame and some of the things he was doing. So, he prepares extremely well. Takes it very serious, keeps his body in great shape, and I just think that he's a pro's pro. So interceptions can be streaky, that's kind of one of those things. But I do think he's a guy, and he always has been a guy, that if the opportunity presented itself, he had the ability to take the ball away.
Would you evaluate how Jordan's played through the first?
Yeah, good. Obviously, he's had a little bit of some interruptions with missing some time and working through injuries and stuff. But he's really unflappable. He's kind of the same guy every day. His focus is really, really good. So I think our offense has been very, very explosive at times because of him. And others as well, but very much because of him. Again, I think we as a football team are still. We're very much working into a complete team and a team that can win situational football, and we're not there yet. But now I think he's played very well.
Obviously, you don't want to see 10 interceptions in 6.5 games. Are you happy with the decisions he's making, though? The execution just needs to be better.
Yeah, I think that's a Matt question. There's some that I'm sure he would like back, and I'm sure our team would like back as well. But again, I think when you're able to make plays like he does, I think there's a bit of a fine line where you're feeling that. He's still a very young player from the amount of times he's started, and I've always thought it's about 20 to 26 games before guys really settle into what they're doing, and I think he's a little bit in that time right now as well.
Hey, Goody, the trade for Malik is looking like possibly a season-saving move. What were your expectations when you made that move, and has he even exceeded them, knowing how he had to hit the ground running after only a couple weeks here and he wins two? How do you evaluate that move, and what were you expecting from him when you made that?
Yeah. Certainly we weren't expecting to get Preston to do as quickly as he did, and you really got to credit Malik and our coaching staff for what a great job that they did getting him ready. putting a game plan around him that really suited him. And that just, really problem. Obviously we knew the player, we knew the skill set, and we really liked that part of it, the ability to win with his arm and his legs. But, the neat thing for me has just been getting to know him. I mean, he's a great kid, and he really fits, I think, what we want here. So that's been really positive, because that's part of what you never really know, right? When they've been somewhere else and they're coming in the building. Same with Josh and Xavier. There's certain things you just don't know until they get into your environment and how they fit in. And he's done a really nice job of that. I think he's a really positive influence in that room.
With the interceptions, going back to Jordan, that's just something that we didn't see for 2 months last year. Is that an alarming thing for a young quarterback? And if not, why is it not alarming?
I mean, I think it's how you look at it. I think we see him every day. We see how he works, his focus, and what he's doing. And I think, every interception is a little different. And I'm not overly concerned with it now. It has to get better. I mean, I think we all know that. But at the same time, I'm not overly concerned. I mean, the way he works, the way he goes about things, that's just a matter of time, in my opinion.
Along those lines, because he played so great the second half of last year, that sets off expectations, and then you pay him like you had to, and that creates expectations. What were your expectations? Because like the outside expectations look at the interceptions and say, oh crap, but what are your expectations kind of over the long term there?
Yeah, my expectations for him are probably what they are for all players, is right. Is to keep working and putting team first. And I mean, he leads our team exactly how we want him to lead our football team. And obviously you guys have seen his ability to make plays and be a difference maker in this league. And he's meeting all my expectations. I can tell we have high standards around here, and there's a lot put on his plate, and certainly. We feel very, very, very strongly that he's the guy to do that too. So.
Tucker before the draft and studying his past. I know it was a long time ago, but do you go back and look at any of that weird high school stuff that he did, and then he's running these sneak plays here? Did you see? I mean, I know it's just a couple plays, but did you see anything like that?
I did not look at any of the high school 8-man football that he played. We did know, obviously, he's a very rare athlete, and very smart, and so we knew he could do a lot of things. I mean, did I envision him taking snaps on short yardage? No, that wasn't part of our. And I don't think if anybody claims that, any of our scouts, let me know, because I've read all those reports. I don't think there was anything about short yardage quarterback, but at the same time, I think he continues to grow, and obviously Matt has continued to expand his role because of what he's been able to do, and a lot of credit to him.
As far as the kicking game, I guess when Brandon comes in, back-to-back game winners, just what have been your overall impressions and takeaways on what he's done?
Yeah, a veteran guy, right? Pro. He's been in every situation, so I don't think he gets flustered at all. So obviously, coming in, and I think after the first game he kicked for us, of course, it comes down to that, and they did it, 2 in a row. So, it was why we made the move, and certainly, he's talking to Rich and those guys. He's very particular with how he wants things, because he's done this for a long time, and he knows exactly how he wants it done, and I think that's refreshing.
Did you have any nerves at all that first time when you lined up for the kick?
I mean, those are all not really. I mean, it's kind of like you always have nerves when there's game winners on the line, because how important it is, but not any more or less than any other time.
We talked about Mosby and Cox and what the Preston trade means. What does it mean for Lucas, who obviously will have more opportunity, and how much more do you need? I know he's a conscientious guy, but how much more do you need from Rashawn, given, again, the expectations and the role that he has on this team?
Yeah, I think for that entire group, we need more from those guys as we move forward into the second half of the season, and I think we'll get that. I think as the last few games have trended, Lucas's snaps have kind of already gone up to where he's kind of going to be probably in JJ and then those guys. So, I like that group. I like the way they work. They gotta continue to keep pushing, and I think the addition of some of these guys getting some more snaps will help that.
When you look at Detroit made a move today, Washington made a move today, do you feel like you got a team that's built to contend this year, and if so, why is that?
I do. I think a lot of the moves you saw today were your reactions to injuries and things like that, where you're missing things. But yeah, no, I really like our group. I think we, obviously we do a lot of work prior to the season to try to make sure that we're a deep team that can, sustain an entire season. And if we have injuries, that we don't have to go outside of the building to fulfill that. And I think we've done that, and I feel really good about our football team. I like our depth. That can change in a hurry. You know what I mean? And that's whenever you move off a player like Preston Smith, you're a couple injuries away from man. That may not have been the best thing, but at the same time, I really do like our depth. We got to continue to come together as a football team and play better football at times. But we're 6-3. I think we're in a good spot. I'm excited about the second half of the season and see how these guys grow together.
Brian, what did you see in the second half of the season that you maybe didn't see from the team in the first half?
I think there's more consistency and maybe a little bit better in situational football. I think to be the kind of team that can go deep into the playoffs and contend for championships, that you have to be that kind of team. We're working towards that, and I think these guys, have had really good moments. But you got to be consistent with that. You got to be able to call upon that, whenever you need it.
Is that a byproduct of youth to where going into a season it's going to be a process because there's a lot of young guys that are getting their first exposure to things?
I wouldn't like to use that as an excuse. I think you evolve as a team every single year, and you have to work towards that to play your best football at the end of the season. There's times I think we've had teams here in the past that maybe have come out and played really good football early and then faded at the end. We had a team last year that really came on strong towards the end of the season, and I really liked the way Matt, kind of handled the team and the way we got better week in and week out, and we're really playing our best football at the end of the season, and that's kind of what I expect this year. I think these guys are working. I think they work the right way, made the right stuff. Again, they got to go do it, but I'm excited for the second half.
Hey, Goody, real quick before you go, you're always only as good as your last transaction, and people react, but we always focus on draft picks and trades and free agent signs, but like the under the radar, like now you got Brooks, who has come in here and has really helped you. You go back to Rasul, and how important are those, the Eric Wilsons, how important are those types of moves to a team's overall success?
They're huge, and it's really, it's really a credit to our scouting staff. Not only the pro scouts that are digging through that stuff each and every day, but the college scouts that do a ton of background work, so we have everything we need on the player as they head into the National Football League. You guys have heard me talk at length about it being 365 days and how important our process is, and that's, you never know when those opportunities are going to come to get those kind of guys, but that's a really important part of our team building philosophy, and our guys do a fantastic job at it.